Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new Google AdMob webinar. Today, we will learn how to optimize your AdMob account, accelerate your revenue, and solve the most common policy issues. My name is Leo, and I'm a strategic partner manager for Google AdMob. My role is to help and support AdMob publishers to optimize, accelerate, and grow their AdMob account. Also, today we'll have a special guest, Sahil, from the Partner Experience team, who will help us with top policy issues, and he will teach us how to solve them. In today's agenda, as I mentioned, we will show you how to choose the right AdMob ad format for your app, including the newest ad types and called app open ads and reworded the interstitial. Also, we'll share some key tips and best practices on how to optimize and grow your account's revenue. Then Sahil will share some account settings, payments, and policy recommendations to help you stay compliant with our Google policies. And finally, we'll have 10 minutes for a live question and answer sessions at the end of the webinar, where we will be happy to answer 3 to 4 live questions from the audience. But how can I ask a live question, you might wonder? I would recommend sending a question directly to us during the live stream, so we can review them and pick the most relevant ones to be answered at the end of the webinar. It is very easy. Just click on the button below, ask your question here. So throughout the webinar, I will be able to review them and then pick the most relevant one to be answered. Before jumping into the event content, I wanted to share a few examples on how AdMob help publishers to grow and achieve their business goals with tools and formats fit for their apps. Firstly, with the latest format app open ads, Love Collage increased their eCPM by 50%. Also, Refuel Games grew by 17% ad revenue with AdMob reworded ads. And Lion Games skyrockets their average revenue per daily active user with AdMob reworded interstitial ads. The message here is that there are good growth opportunities by learning the content we will share with you today. So are you ready for that? Let's start. How do you choose the right AdMob ad format for your app? There are 6 ad formats in AdMob in total: banner, native, interstitial, reworded, app open, and reworded the interstitial. We will go through the ones highlighted in blue. Let's start with interstitial ads. Interstitial ads are full screen ads which cover the full interface of the app and are generally placed at natural transition points. There are also other differences compared to example banner ads. All interstitial ads must be triggered by users by taking an action in the app. Basically, this ad format cannot suddenly display in the app like banner ads unless a user takes an action in the app. Also, if you are afraid of showing too many interstitial ads to your users, you can control how many interstitial ads a user can see by setting a frequency cap, for example, per use or per day. Finally, interstitial ads have normally a higher eCPM compared to banner ads example. This is an example of an interstitial ad where English Grammar, a free app that enables users to sharpen their English language skills, implemented rich media interstitials in between exercises. So basically, after you are done with an exercise and you want to go back to the exercises list, you can watch an interstitial ad. Another ad format you can choose is reworded ads, where users can interact with the ad in exchange for a reward or a premium feature. So the user actively chooses to see an ad or not. Please remember that rewards should be non-monetary, such as coupons, promotional codes, cash, or any kind of monetary benefit. And you need to make sure that they are specified before the ad is shown. This type of ad format works well for games and apps with a premium feature. This is an example of a game. When physics ball user fails to complete a level, they are offered to watch a rewarded video to retrieve the game and continue playing. Very straightforward, right? One of the newest ad formats you can choose as well is app open ads, where you can place an ad at the loading page when you open an app. This type of ad format integrates seamlessly into the app open and supports text, image, rich media, and video ads. Our team wanted to unlock new inventory and let you monetize users as soon as they enter your app. This ad format is designed to maximize demand with highest bidding ad creatives, flexible format with full screen and partial screen ads, and beautiful user experience optimized rendering. When you implement app open ads, you need to make sure that the app has a loading page and the ad is placed on top of it with a transparent zone. Finally, the latest app format we released is reworded interstitial, which is now available in open beta. But what's cool about reworded interstitial? So you can offer, first of all, you can offer in-app rewards for watching a full-page interstitial ad. Secondly, you can unlock new placements with just-in-time and contextually relevant rewards. And thirdly, you can offer a superior user experience with minimal impact on retention. Similar to rewarded, ads must either be video or interactive and must be skippable since users are not explicitly opting in. This is how the user experience looks like. In this game example, the user ran out of hearts and they can watch a video to receive 3 more hearts. If they decide so, they will watch a skippable ad and reward countdown timer. They will watch a skippable ad with reward countdown timer. Please note that if the user clicks to exit, they will lose their reward. Here are a few tips for you. Add new placements to increase average revenue per daily active user without impacting retention. So reward interstitial enables you to add new placements with contextual just-in-time rewards. For example, during the gameplay, when a user has only 1 move left, you can grant some extra moves with a rewarded the interstitial ad, as you can see here. Second tip, show rewarded interstitial to users who don't opt in to rewarded. As you can see from this slide, use rewarded ads and rewarded interstitial together to optimize your monetization. Show rewarded to users who opt in and show rewarded interstitials instead to users who don't. Finally, last tip, you can replace interstitial between game levels for better UX and higher ad engagement. Rewarded interstitial with well-designed rewards can improve both eCPMs as well as retention, and they can also increase the user long-time value. So, what do we need to consider when you choose your ad format? Always consider the ad format characteristics which best fit with your app design, UI, and flow. It is really important that you test, especially when you just develop your app, and use data to understand what works best for your app and for your users. Finally, make sure to respect the user experience as they are the foundation of the whole ecosystem. And one last note, eCPM is generally higher for rewarded video, rewarded and interstitial ads, and of course, app open ads. True. As a final reminder, I just wanted to call out that you can use smart segmentation to monetize with ads users who can't or won't spend and deliver different rewarded experiences to users. So when using this feature, I would recommend using randomness to mask differential rewarded experiences and create a perception of fairness for your users. Also, make sure to remove frequency caps for users who will never become purchasers. All right, so far we've seen the different type of ad formats, and now we'll see how you can implement them and different type of examples based on the type of ad that you do have. So let's start with ad format recommendations for tools and utilities apps. So as mentioned before, we should place interstitial ads during natural transition points, such as after a connection successful message for a VPN app, or after successfully scanning a barcode, or for productivity apps after making a task as complete. If instead your app allows you to set an alarm, then I would recommend you placing an interstitial ad after setting or saving a new alarm. Also, you could place an ad after successfully downloading or sharing a file, or after completing a conversion with the Unit Converter app. Sharing a pro tip here. You can create another potential ad placement by adding a separate confirmation screen and add an interstitial ad there. If you look at rewarded video ads instead, you can grant user access to premium features with a rewarded video, as you can see in this example for a file sharing app. Which are the benefits of this ad format? It's variable, allows users to try features hidden behind a subscription wall. It is instant. Users can get premium access immediately after watching the ad. And it is rewatchable. Users can rewatch rewarded ads to extend their access to premium features, increasing the number of total impressions per user. And what about if you have a brain and puzzle game, for example? So here are some few ideas for rewards. You can choose to give your user a free coins or extra steps and energy, level resume, as we could see in the example before, lucky draw, or a hint. Just remember that when designing rewarded ads, make sure to emphasize visual for gift and create a sort of appealing message to attract users. Also, I always recommend publishers to track reward usage rate with Firebase to ensure the gift is attractive. And furthermore, you can add a counting down number or bar to raise sense of urgency, as mentioned in this slide. So let me give you an example with Cook Apps. Cook Apps grew ad revenue by 86% with their rewarded ads and mediation. As you can see from the screenshot on the right, users can watch an ad for a reward in the level retry menu. Or users have the option to watch an ad for one more live in the live shop. When it comes to interstitial best practices instead, as mentioned before, interstitial ads should be placed within screen shift within your environment, your app, the environment, such as level refresh, end of the level, or back to the homepage. Pro tips here to maintain a great user experience and to comply with our policies. Don't use interstitial at game return, and don't bump up interstitial when there is no screen shift. Here is an example. Blackline Studio Games added an interstitial after finishing a level and before the home and replay page. This is a great example of screen shift example. Now, I've shared ad format recommendations. Let's move on to the next topic of today's event. And I hope to share, some recommendations to help you improve your account performance. Let's start. Firstly, I would recommend to enable video within interstitials and reworded ads directly in the AdMob UI to allow video ad to be the main creative element and tap into additional inventory, which could improve his CPMs. Then, if you're not satisfied with your performance, please check your blocking controls and unlock categories or adjust maximum ad content rating. However, please note that you can block sensitive categories such as politics ads, so you have control over the ads that you show. Also, check your frequency caps for reworded ads and relax it in order to increase impressions. As always, be mindful of your user experience. Also, if you want to be updated on product updates, performance snapshots, and recommended optimizations, please enable the data-driven performance suggestion option in your email preference section in your account. Then I would strongly recommend to link all your apps if they're already published in an app store. For some accounts, you will have the option to pick from different Android app stores such as Xiaomi, Oppo, Amazon. By linking your apps to your account, you will have a better performance and overall results. So, strongly recommended. Now, I hope to introduce you to a few tips to successfully protect your account. So I will cover a few topics in the next few slides. First, AdMob text. AdMob text is a simple, flexible, and secure method for app publishers and distributors to declare who is authorized to sell their inventory, improving transparency for programmatic buyers. Authorized sellers for apps, so AdMob text, is an extension to the authorized digital sellers standard, or originally designed for protecting web ad inventory. Authorized sellers for apps is an AIB Tech Lab initiative that helps ensure your ad inventory is only sold through channels you have identified as authorized. Creating an app ad text file gives you more control over who is allowed to sell ads on your app and helps prevent counterfeit inventory from being presented to advertisers. But which are the benefits of app ad text? First of all, implementing app ad text helps prevent unauthorized and domain spoofed app inventory from damaging your brand and revenue. Secondly, similar to robots text, app ad text can only be posted to a domain by an app publisher's webmaster, making it valid and authentic. As a text file, app ad text it's easy to update, making it very flexible. The data required to populate the file is readily available in the OpenRTB protocol, making it simple to gather and target. Another way to protect your account is seller.json. Seller.json is a standard released by AIB Tech Lab as well to increase transparency and combat fraud in the ads ecosystem. It is also a standard for advertising platforms to publish the identities of the publisher and supply partner accounts that are available in their platforms. And which are the benefits of seller.json, you might ask? So seller.json increases transparency and reduces fraud. AdMob can provide sellers information about publishers, developers, and partners to help buyers make more informed decisions. Seller.json helps to detect and ad fraud because buyers will know the business entity that benefits materially from the transaction. Therefore, it builds trust in the ad ecosystem by increasing inventory quality and strengthening advertiser trust to create more value for publishers. And this is the last ecosystem tip that I would like to share. So, as I believe we're all trying to understand the impact that Apple's app tracking transparency policy is having in our business. So developers could see significant impact in their Google ad revenue due to reduced visibility into performance metrics and measurements, including conversions modeling. So we have updated Google Mobile Ads SDK for iOS to help your iOS monetization. As such, I'm sharing guidance about how Google is complying with app tracking transparency policy. First of all, you should install the latest Google Mobile Ads SDK for iOS. The version that we recommend is 7.64 or later, which includes critical features for iOS 14 and 14.5. Also, make sure to configure SK Ad Network with Google's network identifier. Advertisers will be using Apple's SK Ad Network framework to measure the value they get from your app. So for more information, you can find guidance on iOS 14 and iOS 14.5 in the AdMob Help Center. The last tip that I hope to share before passing it to Sahil is introducing you to open bidding. Instead of me talking in this slide, I wanted to share a very short video to help you understand how to maximize ad revenue with open bidding.
For app developers who monetize with ads, we're excited to announce a new solution called Open Bidding to help you maximize revenue from every ad you show. Let's see how Open Bidding can help you earn even more than waterfall mediation alone. Waterfall mediation prioritizes networks based on historical CPM data, which doesn't allow you to take advantage of real-time pricing. There could be a huge difference between the average revenue from yesterday's impressions and how much a single impression is worth in a given moment. With waterfall mediation, you could be missing out on additional revenue. Open bidding bridges that gap. Here's an example. Let's say Network B has historically paid the highest CPM of $3, so you've placed them at the top of the waterfall. When an ad request comes in, they get the first opportunity to return an ad. But you don't know how much they'll actually pay you for this specific impression until after they've shown the ad. One of the other networks could potentially have paid more. In contrast, with open bidding, every ad network competes in a fair, real-time auction, where the winner is always the highest paying network. That means you get the highest available revenue for every impression. Now, imagine how this can add up across thousands or millions of impressions, which could create a massive revenue opportunity for your app business. Try open bidding today. now available in beta.
Great. Um, so if you're considering to use other ad networks on top of AdMob, you can totally consider to use open bidding. Um, Great. So thanks, Sahil, for being here with us. I saw your face. Thanks for joining in time. I'll hand it over to you to take care of anything regarding payment and policy recommendations. And then after your session, we'll move on to the live question and answer part. So publishers, stay tuned, and we'll get there. So, Sahil, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Leo, and hello, everyone. Hope all of you are doing well uh, and staying safe also. So, I would be running the next session, which is about account payment, policy recommendations, and so on. As Leo mentioned, wherever you feel, please feel free to ask as many questions as you can. Leo would later on pull out all those questions, and we would be happy to take those questions. So let's start with PIN verification. So for PIN verification, it is required because we want to verify the accuracy of your account information. And to do so, we send you a PIN via regular mails to your payment address when your earnings reach the address verification threshold, which is in most of the cases $10 USD. Once you receive the PIN email, then you just need to enter that detail into your account, and then your account is good to go. Please note that as we are using the regular mails in each of the countries, it may take up to 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the local postal guidelines and timings, for you to receive the PIN. And you can request for 3 more PINs each time. Moving forward, I would like to provide more details around payment settings also. So once there's earnings which starts coming to your account, you will be able to check the profit and other account settings. You'll accrue estimated earnings over the course of month. And as you can see in the slide, there is a dedicated section of payments tab where you can see all these details. Please remember that the AdMob cycle is monthly and your earnings are finalized as shown in your payment history at the beginning of the following month. Moving on is the payments option. Before you get paid, you need to meet a few thresholds. You need to verify your address, and you also need to select a form of payment. As I mentioned earlier, we'll send you a PIN to verify your address when you reach a $10 USD mark. And once you do that and select your form of payment, then you would start receiving the payments. The form of payment also depends on your country. It might depend from country to country basis. So please check on our AdMob Help Center page that what are the various forms of payment which is available in your country. Finally, in order to set payment method, you must reach a threshold of 100 revenues of revenue. The next section is getting paid. Like, I'm sure that by now all of you would be asking, then when do you get paid? So once you reach $100 of finalized earnings and you have completed all the steps, including address verification, PIN, and everything, then you will be paid on around the 21st of each month. Also, a common question that we receive from a lot of publishers is that what is the difference between estimated earnings versus finalized earnings? So I will try to answer that particular query. Estimated earnings that you see in your AdMob account are estimate of your recent account activities. These earnings aren't finalized until the end of the month and won't necessarily reflect the amount you'll be ultimately be paid. Finalized earnings, on the other hand, are the accurate earnings that would be including all the revenue that you would be paid for all the clicks and impressions that you have accrued over the last 1 month. These amounts are equal to the current balance found on your payment page. After our earnings records are processed and verified by the 21st of each month, your current balance from the previous month is posted in the payment page. Moving on. Now, before we jump into the program policies, I just wanted to showcase this particular structure to you guys. This is our ecosystem, which comprises of 3 important pillars: the users, the advertisers, and the publishers. And in order to ensure that our ecosystem remains good, we enforce various policies to ensure that we live in a healthy and a safe digital advertising ecosystem. With that in context, I would like to deep dive into invalid traffic policy. Now, what is invalid traffic? Invalid traffic includes any clicks or impressions that may artificially inflate an advertiser's cost or publisher's earning. Invalid traffic covers intentionally fraudulent traffic as well as accidental clicks. We understand that a third party may generate invalid traffic on your ads without your knowledge or permission. However, at the end of the day, it is the publisher's responsibility to ensure that the traffic on your ads is valid. The publisher is responsible for ensuring that your ad implementation complies with the AdMob program policies and that you haven't paid for any traffic from unreliable sources. With that in context, I would now talk about what are the various types of invalid traffic. So there are mainly four different types of invalid traffic. The first is clicks or impressions generated by publishers by clicking on their own live ads. The second is repeated ad clicks or impressions generated by one or more users. The third type is publishers encouraging clicks on their ads. And the fourth is automated clicking tools such as robots, bots, or other deceptive softwares. So please ensure that you understand the type of invalid traffic and stay away from them. Now, once we sort of understand what invalid traffic is and what are the types of invalid traffic, we also want to provide you with ways of how to avoid invalid traffic. A general rule of thumb is always to put your users first by making sure that you don't draw any unnatural attention or mislead users to click ads, because that would directly cause invalid clicks. Also, please refrain from clicking on your own ads. Publishers may not click their own ads or use any means to inflate impressions or clicks artificially, including any manual method. We would also like to encourage you to understand your ad traffic and app users in a much better fashion. Break down your traffic reports into meaningful segments, such as based on the app name, ad unit, the country from which the traffic is coming in order to provide you with more details on how the trends of traffic is coming to your app. This would provide you a lot of insights about traffic and how to keep your traffic safe. Finally, please avoid partnering with untrusted low quality parties. Some publishers have had issues with invalid activity when partnering with low quality ad network or app promotion sites in efforts to increase traffic on their apps. So please refrain from all these things. Now, you might also ask that what are the implications of invalid traffic as such? What happens if invalid traffic might come to your account? The implications are really serious. If we determine that an AdMob account might pose a risk to our advertisers, we may disable that account to protect our advertisers' interests and to keep the ecosystem safe. Also, publisher disabled for invalid activity or violating our policies may not be allowed to further participate in any Google publisher monetization solution, including AdSense or YouTube. Additionally, if we are unable to verify the quality of your traffic, we may limit or disable your ad serving. Finally, as we mentioned earlier, that due to invalid traffic, there also might be a difference in the estimated earnings and finalized earnings. So please keep these things in mind and do remember to keep your traffic clean. Now, we talked about testing your ads and how to avoid clicking on your own ads, but you can also use our systems to test ads. Publishers may not click on their ads on their own production ads, even for testing purpose. Clicking on production ads can result in policy violation for invalid traffic. The Google provided demo ad units are not associated with your AdMob account. So there's no risk of your account generating invalid traffic when you use them or click on them. When you also enable a test device, the AdMob network sends production ads in test mode to your device using the ad unit IDs you have created in your AdMob account. This is also a safe way of testing production ads and verifying the implementation code that you have put in place without violating any of the invalid traffic policies that we have in place. So please remember to learn how to set up a test device, how to set up test ads, and use them in order to ensure that you are not clicking on live ads. Moving on, uh, we would also like to introduce Firebase as a very good tool which would help you to maintain clean traffic. Firebase is an analytics tool which provides you with a lot more understanding on how you can track your traffic. It allows you to break down your traffic into various segments like customer events, CTRs, and so on. You can track the trends of all the ad units by using Firebase. And this understanding would therefore allow you to better understand the traffic which is coming onto your app. Once you have the better understanding of traffic which is coming to your app, you would be able to find all suspicious traffic sources or clicks. And you would also be able to identify any invalid traffic activities like bot activities which is coming to your app. So please use Firebase as much as possible to maintain clean traffic. You can also find useful information and update any of the account settings, including your pub ID, AdSense customer ID, Google Ads customer ID. Please visit your account settings, sign in to your AdMob account, and click settings in the sidebar. This would allow you to make all the changes which you want to make in your AdMob account, like updating your name, email, language, time zone, currency, and so on. Please ensure that you do not share your login details with anyone else and use these account settings to make any changes that you want to make in your account. With that in mind, I would like to now pass it on back to Leo to take us through some of the AdMob social channels and also to give us more context about various other things which we have in place.
Thank you, Sahil. One more minute before we move to the live question and answer part. We do have a lot of questions. While Sahil was speaking, I was trying to review the questions that are coming from the public. Thanks so much for sharing a lot of questions. Before that, this is a very, it's a duty that I need to comply to. So just wanted to share, don't forget to follow our AdMob social channels. We can see here we have, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and YouTube. Why should you do it? To receive regular updates on AdMob best practices, new products, industry events, such as this type of event. Hear from top developer success stories and experiences, and learn how to stay policy compliant. All right, great. I think it's time. So given the sake of time, I think Sahil, in this session, we will review some of the top questions. As mentioned, we won't have time to review them all, but I'll try to aggregate, macro topics. So I think I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. So a little bit more than expected. And I think, Sahil, we have some that I can address based on my experience working with partners. Some other are a little bit more, related to invalid traffic or ad serving limits. So I will hand these over to you, since we have the pleasure to have you as a guest here. So let me start. First question that I would like to address is rewarded let me show it. Rewarded interstitial beta, because it's now in beta. You don't have to ask the user to watch it, but can just show it. So unlike rewarded ads, users aren't required to opt in to view a rewarded interstitial ad, as you mentioned. So instead of the opt-in prompt in rewarded ads, rewarded interstitials require an intro screen that announces the reward and gives the user a chance to opt out if they wish to do so. So I hope I clarified this part regarding rewarded interstitial. I know there is a lot of interest, given the fact that it's a new ad format. I think it's the newest that we implemented. Great. Second question. Is there any guide to make usage of AdMob in the app comply with Apple app tracking transparency? I think I touched base on this. I projected, I think, one slide before on what we recommend to make sure you comply with, the changes that Apple introduced. For any questions, for any extra topic, I think you can. Anyone can, consult the help center, the AdMob help center. I think the title of this type of topic is "Update Your App for iOS 14 Plus." There are a lot of information there, but in general, you need to make sure that you keep your Google mobile ads SDK up to date, version 7.64 or later, as I mentioned before. And you need to make sure you configure your Apple's SK app network. Okay. Great. Now, Sahil, I think these questions are for you. So let me share with you. The first one is on payment, and then I think the other two are on ad serving limit. First question. If you are not reaching minimum payment 1 month, is the payment add in our next month?
Yes, that is correct. So if you have not reached the minimum payment in 1 month, it can be added to your next month. You can also put a hold on your payment in case you feel that you need to go to a bank or any other place in order to get your payment, but you cannot go for this particular month. Then you can put a hold and get the complete accrued earnings together in one go. So yes, it is possible.
Fantastic. Very precise. Thank you, Sahil. Okay, now, most of you guys asked these type of questions, so I hope Sahil can support here. I frame it in two parts. So one is this. I've done everything to help my app be lifted from ad serving limits. What else can I do? So which are the recommendations, Sahil, that you would recommend us to really make sure that we get our ad serving limits lifted?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So if ad serving limit typically goes away on its own within 30 days in most of the cases. In few cases, if it is not going within 30 days, means the root cause of the issue is not being resolved. Now, when we talk about the root cause, it may be that how the ad units are interacting with the content in your app or how the traffic is flowing into your app. So that is something that you need to see and ensure that you are focusing on correcting the root cause, because till the time you do not correct the root cause, the ad serving limit would keep on coming in. So in this particular case, if ad serving is not going, I would highly recommend you to check that how your ad units are interacting with the content. Are they loading before the content, after the content? Are they placed too close to the content or any other thing? So check your ad unit placements and everything in detail. The second thing that you need to do is that we showcased Firebase. Please use Firebase to check the overall traffic which is coming to your app. Break it down into all the metrics to see what are the trends. Each time when ad limit is being placed, is there traffic which is going up from one of the metrics or changing anywhere? That would give you a lot of insights about what changes you can do in order to ensure that ad serving limit goes out. So once you implement these changes, ad serving limit would definitely go out. And this is what we have seen in almost all the cases.
Great. Sahil, last question for you, which I can partially address it. How long will my app be limited by ad serving? I think, like, in general, ad serving limits impact publishers for less than 30 days. But I know it might take longer in some cases. So just wondering, Sahil, if you want to add anything or to add more color to this.
Yeah, just as I mentioned in my previous answer, till the time you do not resolve the root cause of the issue, the ad serving limit would keep on coming back. So, if in most of the cases it goes away within 30 days, but if the root cause of the issue is not resolved, then it will just keep coming back. So, it's very important to identify the root cause and remove that root cause. And only publishers, by using Firebase, by checking their ad unit placements, and so on, can identify that root cause.
Cool, Sahil. Thanks so much. Last one, very simple. I can address it. Where can I see this webinar on demand? Very simple. In a few minutes we will end the webinar, and I think tomorrow I will send you an email where with the link of the webinar where you can watch it on demand anytime you want. And yeah, because we've been recording it, so it will be available for you for any learning purposes. Great. Having said that, I think we're over. I would say thanks so much for your questions. I'm sorry if we are not able to address them all for a matter of time. But we will come back actually next month. We'll have another webinar, and we're happy to address your questions in case. And yeah, Sahil, I just wanted to thank you as well for being our special guest today. And best of luck, everybody, and stay safe and have a lovely day.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.